So let's crack on. The format hasn't changed. Theme of the week to team of the week. Theme of the week is the Super Cup. I know you spoke about it last night, Graham. I want to give you a proposition, and then I want you to tell me if you agree with it, and also tell me if it's true. Then who should get the credit? Barca's squad of strikers now, the six of them. So the three that started last night, plus Lewandowski, Rashford, and Lamine, it's the best squad of strikers anywhere. There's no team in football at the moment has got a better squad of strikers. Is that true? And who takes the credit?
Well, look, eventually I'd be happy to hear what Phil and Dara and Kelvin all think to this proposition, because I think you're going to win your bet. But now, what's a striker? Barca play a 4-2-3-1
Yeah,
formation, and therefore, I'm not breaking up the Christian, but I mean, doesn't Fermin count with his hat trick in the Champions League? Does Olmo count as a striker if he's playing at 10 and behind the 9 with that wonderful goal against Espanyol? I know by your definition you're going to say no, but I think it gives power to your premise that you've got Rafinha, Lewandowski. I mean, Rafinha's playing on the wing. Is he a striker? But Rafinha, Lewandowski, by your proposition, Lamine, Rashford, Ferran, Rooney, role plays up front. You've got creativity and goals from Fermin, who can play false 9. They also played young Tony Fernandes, as false striker, false 9 in one of the games this season. So therefore, rather than just eulogising, which is not what the socios are here for, Barca on its own, you'd have to say there would have been an argument at the beginning of the season if you could start to think about Vinicius and Rodrigo. Antonio was playing as a right winger, plus Mbappe and Gonzalo. And Bellingham's not a striker, but he can be played as a. You'd have immediately said at the beginning of the season, well, there's an argument there. There's an argument right there with Los Blancos. And not simply, neither you nor I, nor I hope the socios judge that a player's important because of the amount of money spent on him, by definition.
Mm-hmm.
When Liverpool went and splashed that money on Isaac, their attacking line, and look at the way that Chiesa has come into the equation, all right as a jack-in-the-box player, but having signed and having no role, suddenly he does have a role, and he is liked by the coach, and he is useful in breakthrough situations. You'd have argued that Liverpool were in there. And then cynics from the back of the crowd who said, okay, let's not get super excited about the power of a strike force, even though I was taught, in my fledgling years in England, when United won the treble, the first English team to win a treble, and they could go for starting pair almost always, York and Cole, who didn't practice together. Dwight York never played as a striker in training, never played in training together, but they were a brilliant partnership. And if you change them, you could change for Teddy Sheringham and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. 4 strikers seem to be the only way. But Arsenal are leading, and increasingly we're recording on Thursday morning, they have an evening game against Liverpool. They're leading without their striker, Gyökeres, having really clicked. And goals does as interesting as we thought, let's say, Barcola and Dembele were, and Gonzalo Ramos, and by away scoring goals in the Cup of Nations. There are so many fabulous players in that squad, and I think the way I'm trying to hone this is that you can have 6, 7 names like Barcelona do, but the most powerful strike force is the one that's playing in the best team with the best attitude about how to create goal chances. So names, and if we were playing top trumps, your Barcelona argument would win hands down. Whether outright guaranteed with Doué, once they've got Doué, Barcola, Dembele, Ramos, by on form at Paris, there's your counter argument.
Well, if you say top trumps, I'm going to say Revellino, 113 international 50s. You're not going to beat that.
I'm going to say the Jensen Interceptor, which is where, for people that don't know, we play top trumps for cars, and we all wanted to get the Jensen Interceptor when the cards were dealt out.
They were brilliant last night, Barca. They were helped by Athletic Club, and presumably it plays into the whole Super Cup scenario. The fact that Barca and Madrid get €6 million appearance fees, and Athletic Club get €850,000 appearance fees. I think they might have played into the performance last night. They were really poor, weren't they? And another error really from Unai Simon. What would you do in Luis de la Fuente's position? What would you say in press conferences? Who would you drop? Who would you call? Who deserves the telephone the call before the squad is named? What would you do?
We all imagine still to these days, I suspect, and please tell me so you're not different from Pete and me. When you're daydreaming or drifting off to sleep at night, you still envisage yourself scoring the goal. You still think, yeah, it's that one last chance still, even at my age, that you're going to be a professional footballer. If you don't, then you think, well, how would I? You dream about how would I handle this circumstance? What tactics would I use? How would I handle the press? I'd be expelling all the fucking press all the time. You're not coming back. I'd be real Fergie style, no question, climbing over the desk to wade in with jabs and hooks. And what you've said, I would follow a similar path to De La Fuente. Unai Simon, fit, goes to the World Cup without question. In my opinion, the goalkeeper with the lowest claim to keep Joan Garcia out of the squad is unfortunately Alex Ramiro. He's the only footballer who didn't have a competitive minute in the Euros. What he did do is something that I've seen other footballers do when Spain have been super successful and lifted a trophy. I forget who the Sevilla Valencia goalkeeper was in 2008 who didn't play but made the squad, made the atmosphere.
Too late for Palop.
Palop. And was liked for his behaviour. Victor Valdez, before 2010, was in a situation a little bit similar to Joan Garcia, and that nobody was saying he must oust Casillas, but everybody was saying it's impossible that this squad goes to a World Cup without the brilliance of Victor Valdez. And people were saying, well, he's moody, he's saturnine, he's dark, he won't. And the footballers who knew him, even in Real Madrid, not just in Barcelona, said, no. And when Valdez went to that World Cup, he was an essential part of the level, the intensity of training, and that what's called compañerismo, making an atmosphere when you're away for 7 weeks. So Ramiro has that, and he's liked and respected by his fellow pros, by De La Fuente, but on his form right now, he can't keep Joan Garcia out. I don't think the debate for De La Fuente right now is who's my number one goalkeeper. That's what the fans want to know. That's what the media want to build it on. It's just not an issue right now. It'll play till March, probably against Argentina in Qatar, if the finalissima takes place, because there's a big row between the Argentinian players and their FA. So if that takes place, there's maybe a choice to make then. But I think you can win or lose the finalissima, and it's not the end of the world. And if Unai Simon even maintains his current micro-era form, I think he starts for De La Fuente. By the time the World Cup comes, if they're in the situation they're in right now, winning is everything. I went back to look at when De La Fuente won the 2 junior Euros that he won at, I think it's at under 19 and under 21 level, my memory tells me. And in each case, he picked Sivera ahead of famous, but nonetheless still the same personality, Unai Simon. Unai Simon himself says that back there where he was part of that winning squad with Spain at the Junior Euros, he was a bit more shy. But De La Fuente then, as coach of those 2 junior teams that won the trophy, went, Sivera's my man. That's the way I'm going to go. So he has this capacity, I think, for all his absolute loyalty to players, and for the interview that he gave to Diario AS, saying to Joaquim Maroto, yeah, listen, the 26 names I take are pretty much going to be the 26 who qualified us, unless there are real exceptions, injuries or wild cards. Joan Garcia is a wild card. If this were the World Cup starting now, he should be Spain's number one. And I think De La Fuente would make that choice. Unai Simon is such a character that I think it's impossible to rule out that he isn't playing imperiously by June and that he might keep his place. And it was interesting at the end of the game last night, the way in which the 2 goalkeepers, there's with goalkeepers, particularly when they're competing, there's only black and white. They're either sworn enemies and out to get one another, or they're part of the union. Joan Garcia showed that he's part of the union, that he was smart in showing affection and respect to Unai Simon, because that is the first brick in the wall of De La Fuente saying, yeah, he can come. He can come. So on ability right now, Joan Garcia is the number one Spanish goalkeeper. Is that the be-all and end-all of the decision-making? No, it isn't. If it was today that the World Cup was kicking off and I was the Spain coach, I would put Joan Garcia in goals.